The things that are being said, even to the point of people saying that probably I killed Marcus.
The shocking moment everyone feared finally happened. Rodney Howard exposes Joni Lamb's deepest secrets with Doug Weiss, shaking the foundation of Daystar and leaving fans stunned. What was hidden behind closed doors is now out in the open, and the fallout could change everything. Stay tuned as the truth unfolds and loyalties are tested like never before. This leak is more than a scandal, it's a revelation that no one saw coming. Joni Lamb's relationship with Doug Weiss quickly became one of the most talked about and controversial topics in Christian media. After the sudden loss of her husband Marcus Lamb, who co-founded Daystar Network, many expected Joni to take time to grieve quietly and focus on leading the ministry. Instead, within a short period, she publicly announced her relationship with Doug Weiss, a well-known Christian counselor and sex therapist with a complicated past, including a previous divorce. This announcement shocked many followers and stirred a wide range of emotions among viewers and church leaders alike. For some, Joni's decision was seen as a hopeful step forward, a chance for healing and new beginnings after a difficult loss. They wanted to believe that God had led her to a fresh chapter, filled with love and support. However, others were deeply concerned. The speed of the relationship raised eyebrows, and Doug's history, especially as a divorced man entering a high-prophecies ministry role, did not sit well with many. Critics questioned whether Joni had fully processed her grief, or if she was rushing into something that could harm her family's legacy and the ministry they built together. The public reaction was intense and polarized. Supporters of Joni called for grace and understanding, reminding everyone that she was human and entitled to find happiness again. On the other hand, many vocal critics feared that her relationship with Doug would damage Daystar's reputation and undermine the values Marcus Lamb stood for. Some even suggested that Doug's past made him unfit to be part of such a visible Christian ministry. Rumors and speculations spread rapidly, fueled by screenshots and whispers about their closeness before marriage, which only deepened the controversy. The controversy wasn't limited to outsiders. Joni's own children reportedly struggled with the relationship, feeling it was too soon and possibly harmful. Family tension spilled into the public eye, creating a complex and painful situation for all involved. The tension highlighted the difficult balance between personal choices and public leadership, especially in ministries that many see as spiritual beacons. Ultimately, Joni's relationship with Doug Weiss became more than a personal matter. It became a test of faith, leadership, and community trust within the Christian world.
The things that are being said, even to the point of people saying that probably I killed Marcus in the hospital because I was having an affair, blah, blah, blah. And Rodney Howard Brown got mixed up talking to you and told Jimmy that Doug was texting me or sexting me. He never sexted me. He is a pure man. We didn't have sex till we got married. That he was sexting me in January after Marcus died in November is a complete lie. Well, Jonathan knows that. But the lie was perpetuated because Rodney went and told other people and other people. That's the damage that you've done to me. And the damage that you've done to a godly man who has integrity and is known for his integrity.
Rodney Howard Brown's opposition to Joni Lamb's relationship with Doug Weiss was one of the most vocal and public aspects of the controversy surrounding Daystar Network's leadership changes. Known for his bold preaching style and willingness to speak out against what he perceives as wrong within Christian circles, Rodney did not shy away from expressing his deep concerns about the direction things were taking. His involvement added a new layer of complexity and tension to an already volatile situation. Rodney's concerns began early, soon after the relationship between Joni and Doug became public. From his perspective, this wasn't just about personal preference or private matters. He saw it as a spiritual and moral issue that could have far-reaching consequences. He was deeply troubled not only by the timing of the relationship, but also by Doug Weiss's background, which included a previous divorce and a reputation that raised eyebrows among some believers. For Rodney, this was about protecting the integrity of a ministry that had once been a shining light in Christian media. He took his concerns seriously, and instead of keeping them behind closed doors, Rodney spoke openly. He warned that the relationship was risky and could lead to serious damage, both personally for Joni and for the broader Daystar ministry. He believed that leaders in Christian ministry must be held to a higher standard, especially when their actions affect millions of viewers worldwide. To Rodney, the situation was more than gossip or family drama. It was a potential spiritual crisis. His warnings didn't sit well with everyone. Joni Lamb and her supporters saw Rodney's outspokenness as judgmental and intrusive, According to reports, Joni accused Rodney of spreading rumors and lies about her and Doug. She went public in her defense, claiming that some of the most damaging accusations, such as those suggesting inappropriate behavior between her and Doug before marriage, were fabrications that Rodney helped spread. This public back and forth between two well-known Christian leaders shocked many in the community and further polarized opinions. The accusations and counter-accusations created an atmosphere of distrust and division. Rodney was not merely criticizing a relationship, he was calling into question the very leadership and accountability within Daystar. His critiques extended to how decisions were being made without transparency, how dissent within the family was being silenced, and how important biblical standards seemed to be overlooked. This was not a simple disagreement. It was a fundamental challenge to the ministry's direction and leadership integrity. Rodney's involvement also exposed deeper issues about power and influence in Christian ministries. His strong stance highlighted how personal loyalties and public image can sometimes overshadow truth and accountability. Many observers noted that while Rodney's approach was harsh, it forced conversations that others were unwilling to have. It raised important questions about how ministries handle internal conflict, grief, and leadership transitions. Despite the tension, Rodney maintained that his opposition came from a place of concern and love for the church. He saw himself as a watchdog, someone trying to protect believers from spiritual harm. He believed that when leaders stray from biblical principles, it's not only their ministry at risk, but also the faith of countless followers. For Rodney, speaking out was a necessary act of courage, even if it meant facing backlash or being misunderstood. As the controversy grew, Rodney's accusations and the public dispute with Joni Lamb became emblematic of a larger crisis in Christian leadership: how to balance grace and accountability, how to lead with humility while navigating public scrutiny, and how to keep personal matters from undermining ministry missions. The ongoing conflict between Rodney and Joni served as a cautionary tale about the challenges of spiritual leadership in the modern era. In the end, Rodney Howard Brown's opposition to Joni Lamb's marriage with Doug Weiss was more than just a disagreement over personal choices. It was a battle over the soul of a ministry and the values it stood for. His accusations and warnings forced the Christian community to look hard at issues of leadership, transparency, and faithfulness to biblical standards. Whether people agreed with him or not, Rodney's role in this story was pivotal. He pushed for accountability and highlighted the dangers of ignoring spiritual wisdom in favor of convenience or power. This chapter in Daystar's history remains a profound reminder that leadership carries great responsibility. And when leaders falter, it's not just a private matter. It's a public concern with lasting impact on faith communities everywhere. The story of the Lamb family, once seen as a shining example of Christian unity and leadership, has taken a dark and painful turn, with deep family conflicts and serious allegations of spiritual abuse surfacing in the wake of Joni Lamb's controversial relationship with Doug Weiss. This conflict is not just about personal disagreements. It exposes fractures that run through family bonds, ministry leadership, and even the spiritual foundation that many believed held the family and their network together. The fallout has been both heartbreaking and eye-opening for observers and those involved. At the center of this turmoil are Joni Lamb and her children, particularly Rebecca and Jonathan Lamb. The children, still mourning the loss of their father, Marcus Lamb, a man who was both their dad and a beloved spiritual leader, found themselves increasingly alienated as Joni moved forward with her new relationship with Doug Weiss. What began as concerns about timing and judgment soon grew into deep rifts. As the children felt shut out and unheard, their discomfort wasn't merely personal. They were worried about the spiritual implications for their family and the ministry legacy Marcus had built. Rebecca Lamb was especially vocal at first, boldly opposing her mother's choices in public and private. She raised warnings about the impact Joni's quick remarriage might have, both on the family dynamic and the ministry's reputation. Her opposition was not motivated by jealousy or spite, but by a genuine desire to protect the family's integrity and the spiritual well-being of those involved. However, this led to sharp clashes between mother and daughter, where harsh words were exchanged, feelings were deeply hurt, and trust eroded. Rebecca's outspokenness created tension not only within the family, but also among Daystar staff and supporters. Jonathan Lamb, Joni's son, also found himself in a difficult position. He was caught between loyalty to his mother and his own convictions about what was right for the family and the ministry. Reports suggest that Jonathan and his wife Susie faced pressure to accept and support Joni's marriage to Doug Weiss, despite their reservations. This pressure came not only from family but also from influential figures within the ministry who sided with Joni. The situation grew so intense that Jonathan and Susie eventually chose to step away from Daystar altogether, citing spiritual abuse as one of the reasons for their departure. The allegations of spiritual abuse are among the most serious and troubling aspects of this family conflict. Spiritual abuse refers to situations where authority is misused to control, manipulate, or silence individuals, often under the guise of religious or spiritual leadership. Jonathan and Susie Lamb publicly accused Joni Lamb and others in leadership of using such tactics against them. They claimed that dissent or disagreement was met with threats, accusations of demonic activity, and even curses, which deeply affected their faith and well-being. One particularly painful allegation involved claims that a family member had abused Jonathan and Susie's daughter, and that the family attempted to cover it up or minimize the situation. While details remain private and sensitive, the mere presence of such accusations highlights how far the family has fractured and how much trust has been broken. These events sent shockwaves through the Christian community and caused many longtime supporters to question what was really happening behind the scenes. The spiritual abuse allegations also raised questions about leadership accountability within Daystar. How could such behaviors take root in a ministry founded on biblical principles? Critics argue that the desire to maintain a certain image or control the narrative led to an environment where honest dialogue was suppressed, and those who spoke out were marginalized or silenced. The pressure to conform, submit, and avoid rocking the boat became a tool for control, rather than a pathway to healing and reconciliation. This toxic environment has taken a toll on relationships not only within the family but also among Daystar staff and ministry partners. Several well-known Christian ministries and leaders have publicly cut ties with Daystar, citing concerns over the family drama and spiritual turmoil. The departures of trusted ministries were a loud message that something had gone seriously wrong. When respected voices in the Christian world walk away, it signals a crisis that goes beyond personal disputes. The family conflict also exposes a larger problem of balancing personal choices and public ministry responsibilities. Joni Lamb's relationship with Doug Weiss was deeply personal, but because of her public role, it carried implications for the entire network and its millions of viewers. Many felt that the pace of the relationship, combined with Doug's past divorce, was not handled with the wisdom or transparency expected of Christian leaders. These factors contributed to the growing distrust and division within the family and ministry. Despite the fractures and allegations, there remain voices calling for healing and restoration. Some hope that the painful conflicts can lead to honest conversations, accountability, and eventually reconciliation. They point to biblical calls for forgiveness, humility, and unity as foundations for moving forward. However, the path to healing is complicated by the deep wounds and broken trust that exist. The Lamb family saga also serves as a cautionary tale about the dangers of unchecked authority and the importance of accountability in spiritual leadership. It reminds ministry leaders and followers alike that personal decisions can't be separated from public witness, and that integrity must be preserved not only in public but behind closed doors. The church community watches closely, learning hard lessons about how power and influence can be misused and how vulnerable families can be to spiritual and emotional harm. In the midst of all this, the viewers and supporters of Daystar are left confused and concerned. Many struggle to reconcile the inspirational ministry they once admired with the messy reality of the family struggles. Questions about the future of the network, the legacy of Marcus Lamb, and the true state of the family loom large. For many, it's a painful reminder that leaders are human and that ministry can be messy, especially when personal pain and public expectations collide. Ultimately, the Lamb family's conflict and spiritual abuse allegations are about more than just one family. They reflect broader issues in Christian ministry today: how to handle grief and leadership transitions with grace, how to maintain transparency and accountability, and how to protect vulnerable individuals from abuse within spiritual communities. It is a story still unfolding, with lessons that reach far beyond the walls of any single ministry. As this chapter continues to develop, many pray for truth, healing, and restoration. They hope the Lamb family can find peace and that the Daystar ministry can return to its mission of spreading hope and faith without the cloud of scandal. The road ahead is uncertain, but the call for humility, integrity, and love remains clear. both for leaders and for those who follow them. The challenges faced by Daystar ministry in recent years are emblematic of the broader struggles that can confront any large Christian organization, especially one so closely tied to a family legacy. At the heart of the ministry's troubles are not just personal issues within the Lamb family, but deep leadership challenges that ripple through every level of the organization, affecting its direction, reputation, and mission. These difficulties raise critical questions about leadership accountability, transparency, and the vital need for spiritual and organizational integrity within ministries that serve millions of people around the world. Daystar was built on a foundation of faith, vision, and commitment by Marcus and Joni Lamb, who were widely respected for their pioneering work in Christian broadcasting. They created a platform that reached countless individuals, inspiring and encouraging believers across the globe. Yet, the transition following Marcus's death revealed vulnerabilities that many ministries face when a founding leader passes away. The weight of leadership does not merely transfer automatically, and the expectations from both the public and the family can place immense pressure on those who follow. One of the greatest leadership challenges has been managing the tension between personal grief and public responsibility. Joni Lamb found herself in a unique and difficult position, grieving her husband while stepping into the full leadership role of a global ministry. The balance between honoring personal emotions and maintaining the stability of an organization watched by millions is delicate. Unfortunately, the way Joni navigated this transition stirred controversy, with critics questioning whether her decisions, particularly around her relationship with Doug Weiss, were wise or too hasty. This personal decision became public and intertwined with Daystar's ministry leadership, creating confusion and division among followers and ministry partners. The public nature of Christian leadership means personal life choices often carry weight far beyond the individual, affecting the credibility and influence of the ministry as a whole. For Daystar, what might have been a private matter quickly became a public crisis, shaking the confidence of viewers, donors, and affiliate ministries. It exposed the fragile line between private life and public ministry, a challenge that many Christian leaders must learn to navigate. Accountability emerged as a critical issue within Daystar's leadership structure. When concerns were raised internally, whether about personal decisions, financial transparency, or spiritual direction, there was reportedly resistance to open dialogue. This lack of accountability fueled suspicions and rumors, further damaging trust. Leaders who surround themselves only with yes men, those unwilling to challenge or offer constructive criticism, risk creating echo chambers where poor decisions go unchecked. This environment can quickly erode organizational health and alienate key stakeholders. Moreover, Daystar's leadership struggles exposed the dangers of conflating ministry with family legacy. The Lamb family name had become synonymous with the network itself, which created expectations and pressures unique to family-run ministries. While family leadership can bring strong cohesion and passion, it also raises questions about governance and objectivity. When family disagreements spill into the public arena, it threatens not only personal relationships but also the unity and mission of the ministry. The Lamb family conflict became a case study in how family dynamics can impact spiritual leadership and organizational culture. The allegations of spiritual abuse within the family and ministry further complicate the leadership landscape. These serious claims reveal how authority can be misused under the guise of spiritual leadership, damaging individuals and the ministry's reputation. It highlights the need for clear boundaries, healthy communication, and systems of accountability that protect both leaders and followers. Ministries that ignore or minimize such issues risk losing credibility and causing lasting harm to those they serve. Financial stewardship also came under scrutiny, as rumors and reports of questionable decisions surfaced amid the turmoil. Donor trust is the lifeblood of any ministry, and when finances are perceived as opaque or mishandled, it threatens the sustainability of the organization. Daystar's challenges emphasize the importance of transparency in financial matters, especially for organizations with vast global reach. Clear, honest reporting and accountability are essential to maintaining support and fulfilling the ministry's mission effectively. The broader implications of Daystar's leadership challenges extend beyond its own walls. Christian ministries everywhere can learn from this cautionary tale about the complexities of leadership transitions, the dangers of unchecked power, and the importance of humility and servant leadership. It underscores the biblical principles that leaders are called to embody: integrity, wisdom, patience, and love. When these are absent or compromised, the ministry suffers, and the message it carries becomes clouded. Furthermore, Daystar's experience highlights the critical role of community and counsel in leadership. Proverbs reminds us that in the multitude of counselors there is safety. Leaders who isolate themselves or dismiss wise counsel endanger their ministries. Healthy leadership teams foster open communication, welcome diverse perspectives, and hold each other accountable. This culture builds resilience and guards against the kinds of crises that Daystar has faced. The challenges at Daystar also prompt reflection on how ministries handle conflict and crisis. Transparent communication with followers, honest acknowledgement of mistakes, and a commitment to restoration are key elements in navigating difficult times. Ministries that prioritize image over truth risk long-term damage. The Christian community watches closely and responds not just to words, but to character and actions. In the end, Daystar's future hinges on how it addresses these leadership challenges and broader implications. Can the ministry restore trust among its supporters, heal family divisions, and renew its commitment to biblically grounded leadership? Can Joni Lamb and the leadership team embrace humility, seek accountability, and rebuild the ministry's spiritual foundation? These questions remain open, but are vital for Daystar's survival and growth. The story of Daystar is a powerful reminder that leadership in ministry is a high calling with great responsibility. It requires constant self-examination, a willingness to listen, and courage to do what is right even when it is hard. Ministries must balance personal vulnerability with public accountability and ensure that their actions align with their message. As the Christian world observes Daystar's unfolding story, there is hope that lessons learned will inspire change not just within this ministry, but across the broader landscape. It calls all leaders to remember that true leadership is not about power or position, but about serving others with grace, truth, and unwavering faithfulness. Only through such leadership can ministries fulfill their divine purpose and impact the world positively. Daystar's challenges are a wake-up call, a moment to pause, reflect, and recommit to the values that should guide every Christian ministry. With prayer, wisdom, and transparent leadership, the ministry can navigate this storm and emerge stronger, setting an example of how to lead well in times of trial. The road ahead will not be easy, but it is one that offers the opportunity for renewal, redemption, and a renewed witness for Christ's kingdom.